Hello everybody, welcome back to Anatomy. I hope that you are all healthy and well. Today is our blood and circulation day 2. Today is the last day that we are going to be spending devoted completely to blood, and then we will be moving on to the circulatory system starting on Thursday. Things that you are responsible for turning into me today. Number 1 is the Bellwork Google form. It is for accuracy and it includes an upload for your IP number 1. Please do check your IP using the key that I'm going to upload to the haiku. Second thing that you're turning into me today is an exit ticket, also Google form for completion. There will be review questions from today's lecture next class on your Bellwork. Sorry. So, speaking of Bellwork, your Bellwork today was to, in your notes or on a separate piece of paper, list the formed elements of blood and describe each one. You should have come up with 3. Those 3 are red blood cells, which carry oxygen, CO2, and other things throughout your body so they can transport hormones as well. Second thing are your white blood cells. They fight infection and form your immune response. So if you have a parasite in your body, you got a white blood cell for that. If you have something that you're allergic to that gets in your body, you've got a white blood cell for that. They are here to be the defenders of your body. And then platelets, which form scabs. There's another part of your blood that is not a formed element, but it is the plasma. So remember, blood is a connective tissue, and so your blood has an extracellular matrix. It is called plasma. It's mostly water. It's what makes your blood liquid. So today, before you leave here, you are going to be able to identify formed elements in a blood sample, describe the ABO blood system and how blood type is determined, and given a blood type, identify its eligible recipients and donors. So starting with blood types. Word about blood types. If you don't know your blood type and you want to know your blood type, you can donate blood to the American Red Cross or to the Indiana Blood Center. Both of those places take blood donations. With the Red Cross, I know that they will, after they take your blood for the first time, they will send you a card in the mail and it tells you what kind of blood that you have. I have O positive blood. I believe the Indiana Blood Center also will tell you what kind of blood you have. I have donated through them as well, but not as frequently as Red Cross. Okay, so a refresher from genetics from bio, which I know was at least a year ago for many of you, if not longer. So an allele is a form of a gene. So our example that I'm going to use is my red hair. Okay, so for my hair, I have 2 recessive alleles that make my hair red. Okay, so I'm going to call those like little r's. Okay, so I have 2 little r alleles. My genotype would be little r, and then my phenotype is my red hair. So the genotype is the genetic constitution, so those 2 alleles that you have, what are they? And then the phenotype is the observable characteristic resulting from the genotype. Okay, so with blood, blood type alleles, you have A, B, and O. A and B are dominant and they can be codominant. So they can both show dominance. So if you have A and B alleles, you have type AB blood. Type O is recessive. So if you have like AO, you have type A blood. So some sample genotypes, you have AO, like I just said, OO, which would be type O blood, AB, and BO, which would be type B blood. Sample phenotypes, those sample genotypes are not all of the genotypes, okay? Sample phenotypes, you can have A, B, AB, and O. So if you recall a Punnett square from back in biology, you take the mother's genes and the father's genes and you cross them to try to figure out what phenotypes or what genotypes and phenotypes you will end up with. So I have a sample problem for us. So in a family, I have a mother that has type O blood, So remember, type O is recessive, so she has to have 2 O alleles. So she is type OO. And then the father has type A blood. I know that can be A or AO. Okay, so I'm going to put my A here because I don't know what goes here yet. So the daughter has type A blood, so that would make sense, right? If we cross the father's gene, the father's A with the mother's O's, I get 2 AOs. So 50% of the offspring in this situation would have type A blood, statistically. But the son has type O blood. So if the father had AA, 100% of these progeny would have type A blood. But the father must have an O because the son has type O blood. So you have, if you have the father having an O, you can cross and end up with 50% also having O blood. Okay? If you have a hard time with Punnett squares, email me, come to my office hours, we can work through them. Second problem, and this one I want you to pause the video and try to figure out before you go over the response. The mom is type O, the first child is type O, and the second child is type B. Determine the father's genotype and phenotype. So pause the video, try to figure it out. When you're ready to move on, hit play. So if we have type O for mom, she has OO, okay? Because type O, remember, is recessive. First child is type O, so we know the father has to have at least one O. I'm going to put it here in this space because that's typically where we put a recessive. And if they're both recessive, then okay. So if I say first child has type O, that means that 50% of these offspring will have O. Second child, though, is type B. So we know that they have to get a B allele from somewhere, so that would mean that the father would have BO genotype and type B blood as the phenotype. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what those genotypes and phenotypes code for. So if you have type A alleles, and you have type A blood, what that means is that your red blood cells have A antigens on them. So they have these proteins on them that that are type A, okay? Antigens on the surface of blood cells cause a reaction if the immune system does not recognize them as the self. So if I have type A blood and you give me type B blood, I will recognize that B blood as something different than what my body usually has, and my immune system will attack it, okay? And it will make anti-A antibodies. So this is why it's super important to give people the right blood when they are getting a blood transfusion. Yeah, we just talked about the bottom stuff. Something to look at, type O here, notice they don't have any antigens present on their red blood cells, okay? So type O can be given to type A, type B, or AB because there are no antigens to recognize as foreign. The flip side of that is because they don't have any antigens, they can only accept type O blood because they make anti-A and anti-B antigens. Okay, so what kind of blood can a person with type A blood accept? Notice they have A antigens present and they make anti-B antibodies, so they definitely cannot accept type B, right? Because they make those anti-B antibodies. They could accept type A. They could not accept AB because it has those B antibodies on them, or antigens on it. And they could accept type O because type O doesn't have any antigens. So type A can accept A or O. Person with type O blood, so can they accept A? No, because they have anti-A antigens, or antibodies, sorry. Can they accept B? No, they make anti-B antibodies. Can they accept AB? Definitely not. Can they accept type O? Yes. So group O can only accept type O blood. Okay, type AB. So AB has A antigens and B antigens. So can it accept type A? Yes, because it has A antigens. Can it accept type B? Yes, because it has B antigens. Can it accept type AB? Also yes. And can it accept type O? Yes. So type AB can accept all the blood types. Okay, seems simple, right? Not quite this simple. There's one more kind of antigen called an Rh antigen, and this is where the positive and negative of blood comes in, okay? So a person can have surface Rh antigens on their red blood cells. If they do have those Rh antigens, they have Rh positive blood. So I have O positive blood, so I don't have A antigens, I don't have B antigens, but I do have Rh antigens, okay? If a person is Rh negative, so let's say I had O negative blood, I would not have any antigens on my blood. So AB positive, what kind of blood can it receive? So like we said before, A, B, AB, and O. And because it's positive, it can accept things that have Rh antigens on them and things that don't have Rh antigens on them. So it can accept A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive, O negative. So that actually makes AB positive blood accept all blood types. And what that means is that it is the universal recipient. Like if you have AB positive blood, you can get blood from anyone. Okay? A person with O positive blood, remember they can't accept AB or AB. They could accept O positive. They can also accept O negative. Okay? Okay, so what I want you to do before you move on to the homework is work through this chart. This is not for points, it's just to help you get things sorted out in your brain. So we have the donor on this side and the recipient on this side, and I want you to put a check if the donor can give to the recipient, and an X if it cannot. So, for example, A positive, I have checked for A positive, but X'd for A negative because it has A positive has the Rh antigen, A negative does not. Okay, I have it X'd for B positive and B negative. I have it checked for AB positive because that has the A antigens, but not for AB negative because it has the Rh antigen, the donor does, and then marked out for O positive and O negative. There will be a key that you can check on the haiku before you move on to your IP. Your exit ticket questions. What kind of blood can someone with O negative blood accept? What blood types can someone with A negative donate to? What kind of blood can someone with O positive accept? Who is a universal donor? So who can give to everyone? And who is a universal recipient? Who can get from anyone? Your IP tonight is IP number 2. There's a reading that goes along with it. It's going to be turned in on Thursday's bell work. Please come to office hours if you have questions. Email me. I would love to hear from you. I miss you all. I hope that you are well. I will see you next time.